Hey guys, how you going? Hope you're all doing very well. This evening I'm going to be doing another movie review for you all, so hopefully you find this one interesting. This movie is a drama from the UK, English language, released in the year 2019, directed by Gerard Johnson, and this film is called Muscle. So Muscle is about a man who's down and out in life. He has no confidence, his self-esteem has been ripped away, his wife doesn't love him, doesn't see him as a man anymore, he has a dead-end job and he wants to make a change. And so he decides to join the gym. So he goes to this very seedy gym that is frequented by very dodgy individuals, and all these individuals, they're massive, and so he wants to be like them. And so he gets the services of a personal trainer named Terry. Now Terry promises to change this main character for the good, but he's going to have to do a few things for Terry as well. And so the two strike up this friendship fairly quickly, but then this main character realizes that there's actually more to Terry, but it may already be too late to turn back. So what that point is something you're going to have to find out for yourself, because that's as far as I'm going with my synopsis. Now my thoughts on Muscle. I wanted to see this movie for two reasons. Number one, that Gerard Johnson is a very, very good director. He manages to create the seedy underbelly of society that people shun. And so creating the sense of degeneracy in his cinematography, it has a very, very uncomfortable feeling. And so he made a movie called Tony London's Serial Killer that I thought was very, very interesting, and also Hyena, which is a movie about police corruption. And so it's that seediness that seeps through the screen that makes Gerard Johnson a very unique director. So he's a very extreme sort of director, and if you like that kind of thing, this is a director that I definitely recommend you go out there and see. And number two, Craig Fairbrass plays Terry, the personal trainer. Craig Fairbrass from Rise of the Foot Soldier, he's been in Villain, he's been in a whole host of films, and I'm actually a massive fan of this guy. So that was the two reasons why I wanted to see this movie, and it was the two ingredients that should have made this movie a lot better than unfortunately what it was. So this is by far Gerard Johnson's weakest film for reasons that I'll go into a little bit later, but there are positives to this movie, and the positives is what makes this director set himself apart from everybody else. He manages to intensify that sense of degeneracy, that intensify that sense of discomfort, and that discomfort is magnified through the black and white use of the picture that this movie has. I thought to myself at the start of the film, why is it black and white? But then as the movie goes on, it creates that sense of depression, it creates that sense of hopelessness, and if you've been through this, you know the feeling, and the feeling I thought was actually portrayed very well through that black and white. It was devoid of colour, and having no colour, you don't have that sense of freedom, you don't have that sense of joy. And that's something that's missing in people that have hit a dead end. You basically have given up on life. You have that sense that everything is in black and white. So I actually thought the cinematography was done actually quite intelligently, because it's really intensifying the thought of this main character. And also, as I said, capturing that sense of degeneracy that Gerard Johnson does so well. Craig Fairbrass is very good as Terry, the personal trainer. At the start you feel as though, alright, he wants to do something for this guy, but then as the movie starts to progress, you know that he is the wolf in sheep's clothing. And so this is something that the main character, he's very vulnerable. He wants to be someone and he wants to set himself up, but he doesn't know exactly what that person he wants to be is. And so when he's being led by these people who are much more confident than him, the manipulation starts to really take fold. And I thought the manipulation was very, very disturbing, because you could see the path that this main character was going down, but because he was so desperate to turn his life around, he was oblivious to the whole situation. And so it's a ticking time bomb, and the more that he becomes involved with Terry, the more desperate the situation is starting to get. So there's a sense of melancholy that this movie has, not only through the visuals, but also the sense that this main character wants to make something of himself, but unfortunately he has been associated with all the wrong people. So the overall supporting cast I thought was fairly decent. This is a very extreme film. It's not in its violence, but sexual content, it is very graphic. It's almost bordering on a porno in one scene, featuring an orgy inside a house that I had a massive problem with, that I'll go into a little bit later. But this is a film that does maintain that quality that Gerard Johnson has, and that quality in extremity, so be very, very careful of that. So the whole film has that degeneracy that I expected from Gerard Johnson, but unfortunately the whole film has a sense of emptiness to it. Now yes, I get that this whole film was about the emptiness, the masculinity in the gym, the superficial qualities of that the gym produces, and not really dealing with your problems properly, it can have a devastating consequence, and that's what the movie does. But unfortunately it does have a hollow feeling in a very negative way, because I just didn't really care about this main character as much as I wanted to, because it doesn't go into character development as much as I think it really should have. So Hyena and Tony London's Serial Killer, they had really good development, but unfortunately this movie doesn't really go for that development. It wants to go for the testosterone, it wants to go for the extremity, but it just doesn't want to go for that personal connection. And because you don't get that personal connection, I just didn't really care what was going on. So Craig Fairbrass, as I said, was very good as Terry, but he's definitely stereotyped at the moment as this tough guy, this meathead, and I definitely feel as though he's better than that because he was in a film called Villain that I thought was very good. He was a criminal, but he also had a very likeable quality about him. But in this movie, he's the Craig Fairbrass that you've seen in Rise of the Foot Soldier. And so the Pat Tate sort of character, that's something that I didn't really like about him. He does a decent job, but it's a character that I've seen before. And I also thought as though the ending was very, very mediocre. I mean, this is a movie that kind of just ends out of nowhere, and it's starting to get really interesting. And the last quarter of this movie actually was fairly tense, but then it just stops. And I don't know if it ran out of money or just didn't know how to end, but I just thought as though the abrupt ending is going to put a lot of people off, and unfortunately it put me off, because I actually thought as though it was starting to come to a very interesting conclusion, but it doesn't really give you any rewarding closure. And so that's something that I didn't like about the movie as well. So unfortunately, the film just has a very hollow emptiness to it that just doesn't allow you to connect to this main character on a personal level. Therefore, his plight you don't really care for. I thought the extremity sort of porno scene inside the house, I thought that came out of absolutely nowhere. The whole film has that sense of, okay, this is intense, but it doesn't have the extremity. It just has that one scene of pure extremity. And I thought it was in there just to shock the audience. And I thought as though, Gerard Johnson is better than that. So that really stuck out as something that just didn't belong. And I just thought as though it was a cheap trick. It was just trying to provoke an audience, provoke an angry response instead of actually having that consistency. And so that was another thing that I didn't like about the movie in what was a disappointing film. It is Gerard Johnson's weakest entry, but I will say that there are movies out there that are far worse. It is watchable, but unfortunately it's not going to last in the memory, and I'm only going to give Muscle 2 stars. Alright guys, that's it for my review. Hope you enjoyed it. Till next time, keep watching movies, and I'll see you later. Bye.